The biggest lie WWE ever told fans about The Shield is that they were brothers. That bond was a storyline. The reality is, from day one, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose were never meant to last together. The truth is, WWE only created The Shield to break them apart because the company knew the only way to make 3 megastars was to rip the group to pieces. Their split wasn't betrayal, it was the plan all along. And trust me, once you see the signs, you'll never watch their story the same way again. Before we go deeper, make sure you hit that subscribe button to AlphaWar Room, because here, we don't just talk wrestling, we expose the truths the companies don't want you to know. Back in late 2012, WWE was desperate for something new. CM Punk was champion, John Cena was still the guy, but the company was staring down a major problem. There was no next generation ready to take over. WWE was scared of being stuck in an era with no fresh stars. So what did they do? They gambled. They reached into developmental, a place where most wrestlers never make it, and they pulled out 3 men who couldn't have been more different. Roman Reigns, the powerhouse, handpicked because of his Samoan bloodline and his look. Vince McMahon saw him not as one of the guys, but as the future face of WWE. Seth Rollins, the high flyer with a chip on his shoulder, a former indie darling champion in Ring of Honor, who didn't fit WWE's typical mold, but they needed his in-ring ability to legitimize the group. Dean Ambrose, the unhinged talker, the unpredictable wild card. WWE didn't even know what box to put him in, but his promos were too good to ignore. They didn't put these men together because they were friends. They weren't family. They weren't a brotherhood. WWE put them together for one reason: to launch them. To give them a stage big enough that when the time came, fans would already care about them individually. The Shield was never about unity. It was about future separation. When they debuted at Survivor Series 2012, helping CM Punk retain the WWE Championship, the reaction was immediate. The black gear, the crowd entrance, the triple powerbomb, the Shield looked unstoppable. They weren't just wrestlers, they were a movement. And in less than a year, they did what almost no faction in history has done. They went undefeated in 6-man tag matches for months. They became champions, Ambrose holding the US title for over 350 days, Rollins and Reigns dominating as tag champs. But here's the truth, WWE doesn't want you to see. Success like that is dangerous. Not dangerous for the wrestlers, but dangerous for the company's long-term plan. Because the longer the Shield stayed together, the harder it would be to break them apart. Fans were buying into the brotherhood narrative too much. The cheers were too loud, the bond felt too real, and WWE never wanted them to be permanent. From day one, the machine knew Roman was going to be the chosen face, Seth was going to be the cerebral heel, Dean was going to be the chaotic underdog. But they couldn't do any of that if fans believed too much in the brothers' story. So seeds of destruction had to be planted. Looking back, the hints were everywhere. Roman was always presented as the muscle, the one who got the big moments. At Survivor Series 2013, who got the big elimination push? Roman. At the Royal Rumble 2014, who was the last man standing against Batista? Roman. WWE was already using the Shield as a vehicle to build him as a solo star. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins was being framed as the architect, the brains of the operation. WWE wasn't hiding this. They were literally telling us, here's the man who will think his way out of the Shield one day. And Dean Ambrose? He was always the odd man out, the wild card, the guy who talked too much, fought too hard, and played too recklessly. WWE booked him as the unstable one for a reason, because when the breakup came, he would be the most sympathetic. Think about that. They weren't just booking matches, they were booking roles in the eventual split. And here's the kicker. There was supposed to be an earlier breakup. Reports from WWE insiders confirmed the company originally planned to split the Shield as early as Wrestlemania 30. But the group was too hot. Fans loved them too much. So WWE gave them one last run, defeating Evolution back-to-back in 2014. It was their victory lap before the execution, the 2nd of June 2014, the night after Payback. The night after the Shield destroyed Evolution, Triple H walked out and promised he had a plan B. And then it happened. Seth Rollins, steel chair in hand, turned on Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, fans call it the Betrayal. They treat it like it was shocking, heartbreaking, unexpected. But the truth? It wasn't a betrayal, it was a business plan executed perfectly. Think about it logically. WWE had just used the Shield to conquer every obstacle. They beat everyone. They had no new wars left to fight. So what do you do when a faction is too powerful? You split them. And when you split them, you make sure the man holding the chair isn't just swinging steel, he's swinging the future of the entire company. Seth Rollins didn't turn because of character. He turned because WWE needed 3 single stars, and the only way to get them there was to rip the team apart. And here's the deeper truth. The split wasn't about Rollins. It wasn't about Ambrose. It was about Roman. This entire storyline from day one was designed to launch Roman Reigns as WWE's chosen one. The minute the Shield broke, the destinies were locked. Roman Reigns, WWE, threw him into the main event spotlight immediately. Yes, fans booed. Yes, the company forced it. But the foundation had already been laid. Roman had been built up for 2 years inside the Shield as the muscle, the star, the finisher. The break gave him the chance to step out as the guy. The Betrayal made him the top heel in WWE overnight, aligning with the Authority, cashing in at Wrestlemania 31, becoming the Architect. None of that happens without the chair shot. He became the underdog the chaotic babyface fans loved because he never fit the mold. He would go on to be WWE Champion, and eventually the first Shield member to leave WWE, becoming Jon Moxley in AEW, where he became a world champion and carried a rival company on his back. Do you see it now? The Shield wasn't destroyed, it was weaponized. WWE used it to create not 1, but 3 megastars, and that was always the goal. This is the part most fans miss. WWE doesn't think in moments, it thinks in decades. Vince McMahon knew that if the Shield stayed together, their ceiling would be as a legendary faction. But if they broke apart, their ceiling was infinity. They could headline WrestleManias, they could carry brands, they could dominate the next 10 years of wrestling. So ask yourself, was the breakup really betrayal? Or was it the smartest, most brutal business move in WWE history? Fast forward to today. Roman Reigns is the longest reigning world champion of the modern era, the tribal chief, the face of the company. Seth Rollins is the workhorse champion, the visionary, one of the most celebrated wrestlers of his generation. And Dean Ambrose? As Jon Moxley, he became the heartbeat of AEW, the man who proved WWE's system wasn't the only way to the top. 3 men, 3 destinies, 3 legends, all born from 1 chair shot. And that's the truth. The Shield wasn't destroyed, it was fulfilled. So the next time you look back at the Shield and remember the heartbreak of Rollins' betrayal, remember this. It was never betrayal, it was prophecy. WWE created the Shield not to last, but to break. And by breaking it, they created 3 megastars who went on to dominate the industry for the next decade. The biggest lie WWE ever told you is that the Shield were brothers. They weren't. They were rivals in waiting. And the day they split wasn't the end, it was the beginning.
Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness, hilarious. You think you're worth my time, you're delirious, mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior, inferior, you know.